Guys, this is huge. Never in all of my time trading cryptocurrency have I ever been this excited and passionate about sharing a video with you guys. Going over some of my analysis, there's something that really hit me today, and I'm so excited to bring you today's video. There's one fundamental reason behind Bitcoin that's going to skyrocket the value of this asset well beyond $100,000. It's truly a remarkable time to be a part of cryptocurrency right now, and anybody that's investing and accumulating is going to reap the benefits significantly. If you love this video and want to support my channel, do myself a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates in the future. If you love my analysis and want to see more of it moving forward as we venture into the most bullish markets I've ever seen, click the invitation link in the description below of this video, and there you're going to get access to my Discord server. In my Discord server, I post private analysis, signals, and also get some good interaction from some other members inside of the server that love to post analysis as well. Thank you guys so much for the support of this channel. It truly means the world to me. With all of that being said, let's jump right into the video today. Alright everyone, so for today's video, I just wanted to keep it simple. I'm not going to go over any altcoins today. I just really wanted to cover some Bitcoin technical analysis because I feel like I haven't really had the opportunity to do so in quite a while, and it's important to update everyone on what I'm expecting. Now, if you're in my Discord, you've seen this chart before, but this is my long-term analysis with Bitcoin on the log scale. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because of one key factor that happens every single bull cycle with Bitcoin, and it's the cycle that, for whatever reason, a lot of people don't seem to talk about when it comes to parabolic markets. I know if you're somebody that's been around in the market for a long time, you definitely understand what this is and you do talk about it. But the average person, the retail investor that is into crypto, they don't understand this as much. And so for me to come on here and explain the log chart, it's going to give you the full price history with Bitcoin, and I'm actually going to be able to show you and analyze you kind of what I'm expecting with things moving forward. Because guys, this is huge for Bitcoin. This is the driver of the value inside of this market. I mean, obviously new money flooding into it is going to be what makes the price skyrocket, but this is one factor that really does lead the way for this new price discovery that everybody is searching for. Now, how high exactly is Bitcoin going to go in this next cycle? I have no idea. It's 100% speculation. Nobody really knows how high it's going to go. Speaking from my end, I first got into Bitcoin way back down in here. I bought my first Bitcoin at the $450 range, and it was right before this halving here. So this is actually what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the Bitcoin halvings. Now, what is a Bitcoin halving? Well, a Bitcoin halving is when the mining reward gets cut in half. So what that means is way back in the day, 2010, I mean, Bitcoin was created in 2008, but when we were actually trading it on exchanges back in 2010, the mining reward was 50 Bitcoin per block mined. Now, what exactly does this mean, are you wondering? Well, what it means is every time the miners process the list of transactions on the ledger of the blockchain, once they process all of those transactions and they get rewarded Bitcoin, that Bitcoin reward used to be 50 Bitcoin per block. Now, 2012 Bitcoin halving number 1 took place, which is indicated by this blue line. Each blue line indicates a Bitcoin halving. So in 2012 we had the very first Bitcoin halving, and this took place at about November of 2012. And what happened was every 4 years the mining reward gets cut in half. So what once was 50 Bitcoin per block is now 25, right? Does that make sense? Now, notice something, guys. This is a pattern that has played out 2 different times, and I'm expecting it to happen once again for a third. Now, it may not play out exactly the same as the last 2 cycles, but the fact that we do have a consistent pattern showing indicates to me that there is a good likelihood that we could see the same thing happen. Anyways, guys, we had the Bitcoin halving number 1 in 2012. We had 2 little leg ups that happened, the halving, and then what happens after the halving? prices go parabolic and skyrocket into new price discovery. And this is the cycle that continues to repeat, guys. The Bitcoin halving is a very bullish fundamental reason for the price of Bitcoin going up, mainly because of the fact the scarcity just grows that much more. Now you got to keep in mind, guys, about 85 to 90% of the total Bitcoin in the circulating supply have already been mined. So the scarcity just continues to grow. And you also have to put in the factors that you got to think about way back in the day, back in here when Bitcoins were worth pennies and even less than $2 at its peak. You got to think back to that time and realize how many Bitcoins were just completely lost. How many people forgot their private keys. How many people sent their money to false addresses and then they're just gone forever. Nobody really knows how many Bitcoin are just completely lost out of this circulating supply. It could be 10%, it could be 20%, it could be even more than that. We have no way of knowing until mass adoption takes place and we have actual institutions that are able to kind of calculate these with algorithms. But until that time comes, we're kind of just sitting here thinking in the present tense that, well, there's 21 million Bitcoin in the total circulating supply. There's currently 17.5 million, so we go with that. But the thing is, guys, we have yet to factor in how many are actually lost. And so from my personal observation, kind of my own biased opinion, is I think that we could easily see about 25% of those already scarce 21 million Bitcoin gone forever, that we are never getting back. Now, once the public's eye really starts to catch on to these factors that aren't really factored into price right now, it's going to cause a major catalyst for Bitcoin's price. Now, how high are we going to go? Like I said before, nobody really has any idea. You have certain people calling for 1 million. John McAfee said he'd eat his penis if we didn't hit 1 million in 2020. I think that he's full of shit. I do not find that the Bitcoin is going to be worth over $1 million or even $1 million by the time 2020 rolls around, because of the fact that's basically when the halving takes place. And based off of the last 2 cycles, we don't really start to see major price discovery until after the halving. And so you're talking like half a month after 2020. I don't see it happening. But anyways, guys, that's getting me off topic. These Bitcoin halvings are awesome for price discovery. And now, when I first got into cryptocurrency back in summer of 2016, or actually I guess it would be spring of 2016, I bought my first Bitcoin right before this halving. Now, I remember that everybody was talking about this halving. It was this big deal. I didn't know what it meant because me personally, I hadn't been in crypto very long. I'd kind of been introduced to it about right in here in this double bottom. Didn't really start getting super hyped about it until we broke out, and then I had a friend kind of introduce me to it, showed me some charts, and something clicked in my head. I was really into learning about centralized banking and the corruption it caused. Somebody told me that, hey, there's this decentralized currency. You don't have to use a bank. It's anonymous, even though we know that that's all not true. Anyways, guys, that was kind of what he told me, and from that point, I knew that this thing was going to take off. Bought my first Bitcoin, and sure enough, I was proven right. But I bought my first Bitcoin shortly before this Bitcoin halving, and I remember that we started to get this nice leg up in the cycle preceding the Bitcoin halving, and then the halving took place, and then we ended up crashing back down to this trend line. But here's the cool thing, guys. After the halving takes place, we have what's called price discovery, and this is where prices go extremely parabolic in nature. Now, what you see here is the all-time high was about $1,100, almost $1,200. Now, after the Bitcoin halving, that's when prices really started to go parabolic, and this is when we started to go into new territory. And this is the cycle that continues to repeat. I look back at in 2012, and the same thing happened. After the halving, we went into price discovery. Keep in mind, prices immediately shot and went parabolic really short after this halving back in 2012, but this was also at a time where Bitcoins were only worth $13. So there really wasn't a lot of liquidity inside of the market. Whereas back here, Bitcoins were worth $600. So there was a much greater amount of volume inside of this market. You're talking probably close to 15 to 20 billion in this time. Whereas back here, it probably wasn't even a billion, or at least not much over that would be my guess. But anyways, guys, shortly after this halving is where we go into the major parabolic markets. This is where the demand really starts to take place. And so this is what brings me to the current cycle that we're in now. Now, something that has played out, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit for you guys. Something that has played out and a pattern that has continued is we have the bull market, right? This is the major bull run. Prices go super parabolic, and then we have the top out. Prices start to retrace, and then we go into the bear market, and this is the bear cycle. Now, indicated by this black trend line, this is our descending resistance. Now, what happens every time we break out of this major descending resistance? We start the one wave, and then we go into the next cycle. And this is the pattern that continues to repeat. Back in 2013 to 2015, we had the exact same cycle. Prices go super parabolic, they top out, we go into this bear market and start retracing, and then prices are suppressed inside of this descending resistance for the course of over a year and a half. And then what happens, once prices actually break out of this major descending resistance, we start the one leg, and then we go into the new cycle. And so this brings us to current prices, and this is something that is very, very exciting overall, guys. This is seriously huge, and it's something that everybody needs to be hearing about. The cool thing about this, guys, is Bitcoin's basically at 6K, yet you still don't hear anybody talking about it. Obviously, you hear your friends that are into crypto talking about it, and you see crypto influencers really hyping it up, but the average person, the average retail investor, they're hush-hush about everything. And so this, to me, just shows how early we really are in all of this cycle. So if you were somebody that missed out at the bottom of 3,200 and you're watching prices go back up, don't FOMO buy right now as we're heading straight into a major resistance. Wait, I promise you that we will get a retrace coming at some point, probably sooner than later is my estimation. But either way, guys, this is still so young in this cycle that you really should not be worrying and trying to FOMO in right now, just because of the fact I guarantee you that we're going to see a retrace, and that's where you're going to be able to find a great entry for the long haul. If you're somebody that's just looking to start dumping lots of money into Bitcoin for the long term, then hell, you might as well just start doing it now. I mean, accumulate some, look for a retrace, but the thing about markets is they will surprise. They can surprise and they will surprise. So we could see a break through 6K. I don't find that likely. 6K was a major support that we broke through, so that's going to be a major resistance on the way up. But anyways, guys, I'm going to zoom in here and show you exactly what I mean. So this was the major descending resistance that had held us for the length of this bear market. You could make the analysis that we had this one as well, but either way, we've broken through both of these, and so the analysis stays the same. This was the major descending resistance that had held us for the length of this bear market. And then with this most recent move at the bottom of 32, we actually impulsed and broke out of that. Now, based off of all of the previous analysis throughout the last cycles, what happens after we break out of this major descending resistance? We start the one wave. Now, we could have something similar to what we had here back in 2015, where prices break out of this major descending resistance and then they come back down in a sharp decline to retest that as support. And so we could see something like this big final shakeout before we actually do start the one wave, which we saw here in this ascending triangle. Or we could see something back here like this, where prices sell off, they break out, and then that is the one wave before we start going super parabolic. So we're just going to kind of have to watch and see. I know many people are comparing this cycle that we're in right now back here to the double bottom that we saw in 2015. However, no two cycles are ever going to be the same, and based off of how this is accumulating, it's already vastly different than the last cycle that we had. Yes, there are similarities, but there's also a significant amount of differences to where I'm not necessarily going to place my bets to where we're going to consolidate sideways for this long. I think that we could see something similar to what we saw here, where prices break out and then we start the one leg, But at the same time, we really don't know. I'm just kind of watching to see. A lot of people are going to be, well, especially a lot of influencers, I'm seeing, a lot of them are expecting us to come up, hit resistance, and then fall back down to about the 4,200 area, and some even lower than that. Some people believe that we could go back down into the mid 3,000s. I don't find that likely. I don't think that we're going to drop within $4,000 Bitcoin ever again. In fact, I think that the lowest we'd go is about 4,200 if we do get a retrace that far. But we're just going to kind of have to watch and see and monitor and just really see what the hell is actually going to happen inside of Bitcoin. But guys, overall, I am super excited. This is such great things for the crypto markets. All of these markets look to be primed for breakouts. A lot of these alts have been just bleeding for the longest time, and now that you're seeing Bitcoin really start to take off, I'm expecting that once we hit resistance inside of Bitcoin's market, I think that once we really start to sell off a little bit, some of that money is going to be leaving Bitcoin and start flooding into these altcoins. But at the same time, we don't know. We're just going to have to see how the cycles persist. Remember, guys, something that I've been watching out for a while now, and so kind of a thought that's been in my head is, when exactly are we going to get this major shakeout with alts and Bitcoin to where Bitcoin really starts to separate itself from these alts and all of these alt projects start to die off, or at least the ones that don't have a real use case and a good community start to die off? Because guys, there's so many shit coins out there. I think we're at about 2,100 altcoins on CoinMarketCap, and so that's so many altcoins that are going to be sucking volume out of Bitcoin. Now, how many of these are actually going to succeed? How many are going to die off, and when exactly are they going to die off? We have yet to be decided. It might not happen until the top of the next cycle that we actually start to see that happen. We could see something very similar to the internet bubble, where this last cycle that we had with Bitcoin, we started to see a lot of new influx of money. We started to see some real institutional investors start to jump in a little bit. Even though it wasn't large, we definitely saw some more action in there. And we even started to see Bitcoin being talked much more on the news. People were the news outlets were actually starting to hype up and pump Bitcoin, and so we got a short taste of what we could expect in the next cycle. Only with this next cycle, I would assume that once we hit about the 10 to 15K range, that's when you're really going to start to see major news outlets and major institutional investors start to really hype up Bitcoin. I know that on Twitter, I don't know if you guys are very far, or if you guys follow along on crypto Twitter very much, but Elon Musk has been talking about Bitcoin. In fact, he actually just made a tweet the other day, and all he tweeted was Ethereum, and then he subtweeted that and just said JK. So trying to avoid the SEC a little bit, I think, there, but it's just funny to see some of these big players, some of these really influential people in today's world starting to talk about crypto, especially when prices are so cheap and the average consumer isn't talking about them. I know that basically from back here in the bottom that we saw from about 4K to the low threes, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, he actually started saying and posting about the Lightning Network, and he started talking about the fact that he is buying $10,000 worth of Bitcoin every single week, dollar cost averaging in throughout this bottom. So these are all telltale signs that people are moving into this crypto market, specifically big institutions, big time names inside of the world around us, entrepreneurs, people of success in general and wealth. They are moving into this market and they are buying these dips. And so to do yourself, one of the best things that you could do to yourself, in my opinion, is just look to accumulate, guys. This is the long-term analysis for Bitcoin. I'm not looking at all of these swings in between. I'm merely just showing you guys my TA from a long-term perspective. Now, one final thing I wanted to cover before I wrap up today's video is I want to talk to you about one last pattern that I've been seeing with Bitcoin over the course of the last two cycles. So for the first cycle, we're going to go back to 2012. So after we had the first initial rally and we had the retrace, we break out of this descending resistance and we start the new cycle, right? Well, what I noticed in these cycles is when we start the new cycle, it starts with these two little leg ups. And this is really what starts the parabolic trend. These are like the two little breakouts where we have this little step up where we start just laddering up a little bit, and then that's what really starts the hype into the next cycle. Now, these two leg ups are indicated by my black boxes, and you're going to see the same pattern persist even back here into 2016. So what we see, prices break out of this major descending resistance, retest this as support, we break out and make the one leg, we break out and make the two, and then that's really where prices start to go parabolic. Prices, I believe, would have gone a little bit more parabolic in here had this giant China FUD hadn't come out right here at about all-time high, where China announced that they were banning Bitcoin and all Bitcoin transactions, and then we had this strong sell-off which started the three wave. Maybe that had a catalyst, maybe that was an indication, maybe that had something to do with it. I don't really know. It's not important. But what is important is the fact that these patterns continue to play out in the first cycle, the second cycle here, and I'm watching for the similar thing to play out here. Now, I've drawn these. Of course, I can never know exactly where prices are going to top and bottom. This is why you have to be able to adjust your TA. Many people will get pissed off at you if you adjust your TA, but those same people that are getting pissed at you are the same people that don't know how to trade whatsoever. And TA is all about being able to adapt with the market. The market changes. You're never going to be right. You're probably not even going to be right 70% of the time. That's just the way the market works, which is why you adjust your strategy to where you just statistically place yourself in the best bet to consistently profit. Because, I mean, guys, if you have a good risk to reward ratio, you only have to win about 40% of your trades, meaning you can lose more trades than you win and still come out on profit if you know how to adjust your risk to reward profitably. And so this is what I'm watching, guys. I'm watching for this similar leg up pattern that we've seen in the last two cycles where prices come up, retag this resistance, kind of get that first retrace. Now, where exactly is this retrace going to take us? I'm actually going to label a couple targets. So I think that we could drop down. My lowest target for where I think the prices will retrace after we do meet resistance is going to be 4,200. I don't find us going much lower than that if we do. In fact, I just don't find us going lower than that in general. So that's going to be my lowest target that I'm going to have for Bitcoin. And then I'm going to have one set at about 45. I'm going to have one set at about 4,500 and then up here at about 5K. These are going to be my three targets for where I'm going to be watching Bitcoin when we do retrace after we meet resistance. But overall, guys, this is kind of the pattern that I'm watching. I'm expecting us to get two little leg ups in this next cycle. Now, where those leg ups are going to take us, I really have no idea. This is labeled for like 14K. It really might not go that high. It probably won't, just based off of the way that the markets move. They're usually never going to move in the way that you think they do, especially on a long-term scale, guys. But anyways, what's most important is the fact that what we have coming up, May 25th, 2020 is the next Bitcoin halving. Now, what's going to happen is the mining reward is going to get cut in half once again, and I believe it drops down to about 6 Bitcoin for the half. I think it's at 12.5 now, so about 6 Bitcoin for the next cycle. And then that's what's really going to be the major catalyst for this upward movement. Now, what happens is usually after these, you start to see some really good bullish news come out. I would expect us to around this point. I think that what's going to happen is I think the big institutions are going to be accumulating and dollar cost averaging in throughout this time. And then up until the halving, shortly after, that's when you're really going to start to see a lot of these players start to hype up the price of Bitcoin, whether it's through the news, whether it's through just whatever, word of mouth. That's where you're going to start to see some real movement coming in. Now, there's a couple factors that we're waiting on. We have the Lightning Network waiting to get implemented, and this is going to be a very bullish fundamental moving forward. And it's something that we're going to have to watch and see exactly when it's going to happen. Maybe it releases before the halving, maybe it releases after. We're just going to have to watch and see. But then you also have Backed. That's another thing that's coming out. I think that the Backed market cap, the company that is issuing it, I think that it's like $2 trillion or something like that. And so that alone is a significant increase in market cap over what we're seeing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin just barely crossed over 100 billion the other day. So you have these huge corporations, these huge banks, these huge players inside of the stock market. They're looking to implement Bitcoin and cryptocurrency into their systems. Now, what's going to happen shortly after this is where we're going to see something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this one time because it's really important to look at. This is the valuation of a market cycle. What you have is the stealth phase, and then you have the awareness phase, which is about the first sell-off. Now, smart money accumulates in the awareness, or in the stealth phase, forgive me. So if we come over here, down in here looks to be about the stealth phase. This is where nobody's talking about it. It's completely dead. Everybody's expecting lower lows to be met. And then you start to have the initial breakout out of these lows, which takes us into the awareness phase. And the awareness phase, based off of the last couple cycles, is looking like this. This is where we get the first couple legs up. And this is where institutions are jumping in. This is where more people are beginning to buy as we start to actually increase that trend. We're starting to pick up a little bit. And so this, guys, up until May 25th, 2020, I believe that this is going to be the awareness phase. This is where most people have no idea what the hell Bitcoin is. Most people have heard about Bitcoin, don't really know much about it, think it's a scam still. And then this is going to be where smart money, this is going to be where institutions, banks, all of these big corporations are going to be accumulating. And then what happens shortly after the Bitcoin halving is where we go into the first sell-off, the bear trap, and then that's what really starts the new cycle of public greed and enthusiasm. And this is going to be a very exciting time. Now, if you guys go back to the last cycle, or remember the last cycle, we had the sell-off at 3K. We either sold off at like 5K or at 3K and bottomed somewhere around that same area. Anyways, that was about the last sell-off. And then we had the huge 5 wave that took us from about 3K all the way up to just under 20,000. And then that's when you started to see media attention. That's when you saw real enthusiasm. That's when the public started jumping in. I started to have friends and family start to message me on Facebook and Twitter and start to say, hey, I heard about Bitcoin. How's it doing? It's going up really crazy. I should have bought back when you told me in 2016. And that's when the average person starts to hear about it, and that's when they're actually looking to buy. And then you have greed, delusion, and then the new paradigm. We hit peak all-time highs. Everybody's so enthused by Bitcoin, max euphoria throughout the market. And then you start the retrace back down and the crash. And so this is the same parabolic trend, the valuation cycle of this market cycle that I'm watching for with Bitcoin currently. Keep in mind, guys, it's not going to behave exactly the same as my cycle. This cycle will be different than this cycle, and this cycle. They're all different, guys. It's just a matter of watching to see and kind of adjusting your strategy. If you're here for the long haul, it doesn't matter all of these little moves in between. You're buying and you're holding for years to come. But anyways, guys, this is really what I want to talk to you guys about. This is something that is huge, and a lot of people need to be talking about it. Whether you share this video to your family, to your friends, to people close to you, it doesn't really matter. Get the word out, because this is a huge opportunity for people to make a significant return on investment and change their lives. I think back to when I bought my first Bitcoin back here in 2016, and just the fact that I got into this market so early and how much it impacted my life moving forward. I was able to accumulate cheap altcoins. I was able to learn so much about crypto, make incredible friendships with people that normally I wouldn't have had I not got into crypto so young. And this is really the same thing that's going to repeat again. We've broken from this major descending resistance, and we're going to start this new parabolic trend. It's as simple as that. Anybody that has money inside of cryptocurrency right now is going to set themselves up for a stupid return on investment that's going to change their lives. People that own crypto now will be so rich in the future that it blows my mind to see other people still calling this a scam, other people looking into Bitcoin, real investors that have actually put money into stocks and whatnot, looking into Bitcoin and then not seeing the potential here. But you got to keep in mind, guys, we're a younger generation, and maybe some of you guys that watch my channel aren't. Maybe some of you guys belong in the baby boomer class, but for the most part, the millennial generation is the ones that are picking up on this trend of Bitcoin. We're already moving into this new age of technology with sound money. We've needed a way to transact value openly, peer-to-peer, without the use of a third-party source for so long. We've had so many problems with corruption because of these third parties, whether it be banks being the biggest or even just other corporations. These are major problems that we've had over the course of the last 100 years, and we finally have a solution to this problem. Bitcoin will come with its own set of challenges, its own set of problems, but it's so much better in terms of what we've been using in the past and what we're still currently using today that I don't really care. I know for a fact that this is going to take off again based off of the last cycles, unless we have some major black swan event where the entire economy collapses, which it very easily could. I don't see this trend changing anytime soon. So do yourself a favor, let some family know, let some friends know about what's going to happen. Get yourself positioned accordingly, because I'm telling you guys, this will take off. And if you're not one to jump on the trend soon, you'll get left behind. And once again, you're going to go into this market cycle where you're the one buying up while everybody else is selling into you, and then you're going to lose all of your profits that you made up here because you're stuck buying the top. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, please do myself a favor and leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more updates in the future. I'm back to a better routine with my videos, to where I'm actually going to be able to provide a lot more valuable content with you, so you can expect a more consistent upload schedule moving forward. With that being said, guys, if you like this analysis and you would love to see more of that, feel free to join my Discord server. I will leave an invitation link in the description of this video. Feel free to click on that and it'll redirect you to my Discord. Currently there's just over 70 members and it's growing every single day. You're going to find all of my private analysis, any signals that I post, and as well as get some good interaction with some other traders that are inside of my Discord that love to post really informative content as well. Do yourself a favor, position yourself accordingly to this cycle. It's going to make people a lot of money, and I'm so excited to have you guys a part of this. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.